guys, it's Adam with another how-to commander deck, and this is Carnage Comics and Cards. So let's get in here. We're going to do another party time video. I've made several changes to this deck. Let's see what those changes are. First thing I did was take the default and make it the default category. So if I go to multiple, I can still see all my clerics and warriors and rogues and wizards, but by default, to make it easier to navigate this, I went ahead and changed it. So everything new is going to be in orange, and then everything I removed is over here on the maybe board. So let's go through and look at what I added and what I took out. So first thing here, gotta sort this by color tag. Okay. So first thing I added, let's go ahead and sort this by the multiple and we can take a look at it. Okay, so first thing I added is Guide of Souls. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life and get 1 energy. Whenever you attack, you may pay 3 energy. When you do, put 2 1/1 counters and a flying counter on target attacking creature. It becomes an angel in addition to its other types. So this is a cleric. I added this because, as you guys remember from my previous video, I was missing some life gain. So this gives me some more life gain so that I can drain my opponents and gain that life back, because basically that's the easiest way to win. You know, you're draining your enemy and then you're giving yourself life, right? So they're going to have to counter that life gain because you're going to slowly drain them down. Also, this allows me to give Burakos flying, right? So flying is a great evasion keyword, and we need more ways for Burakos to get in there. All right, next thing we have here is Mangara the Diplomat. So Mangara's got lifelink, so again, more of that life gain. And then it reads, whenever an opponent attacks with creatures, if 2 or more of those creatures are attacking you or planeswalkers you control, draw a card. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, draw a card. So this is going to be really good card draw, and it also is an incentive for people not to attack you. So it's got 2 things there going for it. Last, I got Null Priest of Oblivion. So you can kick this for 4. So you can either pay 2 or you can pay 6. When Null Priest enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's a good early creature if you just need something out on the board, but it's also got a recursion piece, which is really nice, just an added value. All right, so what did we take out? Well, the first thing we took out was Timna, the Weaver. All right, so she has lifelink, and at the beginning of post-combat main phase, you may pay X life, where X is the number of opponents that were dealt damage, and if you do, draw X cards. So the only reason I exclude this card really is the price point. It's super expensive, and I can get kind of similar effects doing from other cards. Like, I think that Mangara, while it's not going to be as good, it's still going to give us the same kind of benefit. It gives us the life link, and then it also gives us the card draw. So the next thing I removed, let's see here. Looks like that was the only cleric I removed. I did remove Bolas the Citadel. As much fun as this card would be in this deck, it's really not synergistic, and it just doesn't feel like it fits here. So I just kind of took it out. All right, moving on. So next I have Vadmir New Blood, and this is a new Thunder Junction card. And it says whenever you commit a crime, put a 1/1 counter on Vadmir, and this ability triggers only once per turn. So as long as he has 4 more counters on it, it has Menace and Lifelink. So basically, it's just another early card that's going to let me get that Lifelink and just have a good threat on the board early, and then it just kind of builds over time. All right, let's look at this one. This next card here is Shay Cormac. He's an Assassin's Creed card, and he's got a really awesome ability that says permanents your opponents control lose hexproof, indestructible, protection shroud, and ward. So it just sort of removes So this just removes all protection from your enemy's creatures. And whenever a creature an opponent controls becomes the target of spell ability, you put a bounty counter on them. Whenever a creature with a bounty counter on it dies, put 2/1/1 counters on Shay Cormac. This is honestly just value. It's a value card. One, it's got this great thing so you can get around all of those protections, and then two, it's just gonna you're gonna be able to crank it up and make it really big, and you get to drop it on the field early. So just a great card. All right, so moving on here. Let's go down to our rogues because that's kind of what we're looking at here. The next one is Asterion the Decadent. So he's got again that lifelink, fixing that issue where I didn't have any lifelink, and then it's got Death Touch. He's probably the most expensive card in this deck. This is a very low cost deck, and it says at the beginning of your end step, choose one. You can feed, which target opponent loses life equal to the amount of life they lost this turn. So if Burakos hits and then you drain them for 5, they're going to lose another 10 life or 7 life, whatever it is. So it's just kind of doubling up that effect. The other one is friends. You gain life equal to the amount of life you gain this turn. So all these life link and different ways that I'm going to be gaining life. So we can choose friends, and that way you can double that up, right? So just added value there, just kind of like a doubling effect. All right. So that's the rogues. What rogues did we remove? Well, we removed Nighthawk Scavenger, who is 1 and 2 black pips, flying Death Touch Lifelink, and its power is equal to 1 plus the number of card types among cards in your opponent's graveyard. So the reason I removed this is just that it's dependent on what your opponents have in their graveyard, and that just doesn't feel good. If you drop this and there's only creatures, I mean, a 2/3 for 3 is not bad, but I just feel like there's more value I get from other cards. All right. And the other one I removed is the Grim Hireling. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage, you create 2 treasures. You can sacrifice treasures, and target creature gets -X, -X. This is a great card. The only reason I removed it is one, I'm playing this in another deck, and I like to just play different stuff, and I needed something to cut. And also, as well, it can be kind of a powerhouse card, so it would kind of boost the power level, and I'm trying to keep the power level on this deck down. Orzhov can be overwhelming as is. Like, you really don't need to try and pump it full of all the best cards all the time. So I removed that, and then I think that was the only other. The Deep Gnome Terramancer is a wizard. We haven't talked about that yet. Why we removed that? We'll get there. All right, we'll do wizards next. So the wizards we added are Isareth the Awakener. She has Death Touch. She's a cost of 3. Whenever Isareth the Awakener attacks, you may pay X. When you do, return target creature with mana value X from your graveyard to the battlefield with a corpse counter on it. If that creature would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. Also known as a finality counter. Corpse counter, finality counter, same thing here. So the reason I added this is just I wanted more recursion. So now if we look at how much recursion we have, we're up to 7 different pieces. So it's just a very black thing to do. And I just love this on a wizard. Some of these wizards are okay, but I think that's a better wizard than what I had. All right, so the next one I added was this Azorius Justa. That's a hard word to say. I'm terrible at saying these names, guys. All right, so it's 2 and 2 white pips, and it says when it enters the battlefield, detain up to 2 target creatures your opponents control. So I've never seen this detain mechanic before, so I saw this as a really interesting card. So detain says until your next turn, those creatures can't attack or block, and their activated abilities can't be activated. So it's kind of like a mid-tier kind of almost like removal, right? So at least for a turn, if it's early, you're gonna be able to prevent them from blocking, which is gonna give your commander Burakos a chance to get in and deal that damage that you need to do. So it's just a way to do that, and it's just a fun and interesting card. So which wizards did we remove for that? Well, we removed the Deep Gnome Terramancer. So Deep Gnome Terramancer is a great card. However, my particular play group doesn't play a lot of tutors, and we don't have a lot of fetch lands. So we kind of play lower tier, power decks. Not that we don't have fetch lands. It's just honestly, when I've played this, I haven't gotten the value out of it that I think a lot of other pods would see. So that's why I removed that because it is a great card. Is that the only wizard I removed? It looks that way. So we'll go through these others here next. All right, so moving on, we've talked about rogues, talked about wizards, warriors. So the warrior I added, so I went right by this on the EDH rec page, and I kind of glanced at it, and I just kind of kept going. And so now I went back and I looked at it, and I was like, man, that is a really good card. So for 3 in a white pip, you get flash, you get vigilance, and you get this Aegis of the Emperor, which commanders you control have protection from everything. So that means that if I can get this in, and he's a warrior, Burakos is going to hit. He's going to be able to swing for damage. So it's just another form of evasion, and much better than a couple of the other warriors I had in here. The last warrior I added is, and this guy's pretty cool, man. Calatus, Trader of Get. So he's got lifelink for 4. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, you exile that card and put a 2/2 black zombie on your battlefield. So, and then you can sacrifice another vampire and you can put 2 counters on him. So he's just basically a token generator where also you can sack those. I mean, we're not doing aristocrats things, so we're not draining people, but you can kind of just pump him up with those zombies. So you can kind of block with those zombies and then like chump block, and then basically you sack them, and then you're going to get 2 counters and you're going to make this big. So just a fun threat piece. And then I don't think we got rid of any warriors here. So yeah, no warriors. We'll go through these other cards here. The next thing I added, I switched out the battle. So I didn't, if you watched my last video, I wasn't really happy with that battle. This battle I think is a lot better. So for 6, you get to destroy all creatures, legendary and non-legendary. It's really good. And then if you can hit it for 4, let's go ahead and flip it over. Let's rotate. You get a human noble with menace, death touch. It's a 3/6, and then you get to remove all counters from one target permanent when it attacks. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, if you haven't been dealt combat damage since your last turn, you get to draw an extra card. So it's card draw, it's menace, death touch, so it's a great blocker, and it's also got some added value. You can remove a counter. So this, to me, this is extra, right? So you're paying 6 to destroy all creatures, right? That's 2 over probably, let's say, damnation, right? But that's not in Commander. That's not that hard, and that's still probably about curve for most removal spells, or sorry, board clears. So that's not bad. So like I said, battles are great because of that extra value. The backside of this card is just pure extra value. That's free value, in my opinion. All right, so look here. All right, so we added some expensive lands here. So these lands, this one here, Shizu Death Storehouse. So you can pay 1 black, tap it, and then target creature gains fear until end of turn. So fear means you can only be blocked by artifact creatures and or black creatures. So another form of evasion, really worth it. I could see, like, yeah, it's an expensive card, but I'm going to see this probably played in a few of my decks. So, it's worth having. And then here we have Minas Morgul. It's kind of the same thing. You put a shadow counter. Well, a creature with shadow can be blocked or be blocked only by creatures with shadow. So it's like horsemanship, shadow, and the Douthie Voidwalker is the only card that comes to mind that I know of that has shadow. There are several others, but it's not really common in Commander at all. So again, just another form of evasion to get our commander in for damage. And let's look here. What else do we get? Those are the only 2, looks like, lands we added. Next thing would be we switched out some of our protection. We got Whisper Silk Cloak. So this gives a shroud, and it can't be blocked. So again, that's a little bit of protection for our commander. We already looked at this. All right, Gus Cloak Savior. So this is a bird soldier. So this doesn't fit our. It's our only creature, probably that one of our only creatures that's not a wizard, cleric, so on and so forth. So a party creature, but I think it's worth having. It's cost 5, it's flying, but whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, you may untap that creature and remove it from combat, right? So this allows us to swing with Burakos, and if he gets blocked, we can just take him out of combat. So it's like a free swing without the consequences. So you get because it's an attack trigger, it makes it great. Next, we've got Flare of Fortitude. So we took out Everybody Lives for a Flare of Fortitude just because it's honestly, it's pretty similar. You do have to sack a creature. However, it's $3 versus $15. So just a cheaper option. And that's that. We added a Talisman of Hierarchy, just another piece of ramp. And I think that covers it, guys. So those are all the new cards. Let's see what else we took out that we haven't talked about yet. So Ghostway, just because, like I said, we've done it before, and so it's like an excuse with everything. And same thing with Galadriel's Dismissal. We took this out just for those other forms of protection, just getting some variety and just doing some different things. We removed Farewell. Farewell is a salty card, guys, and this battle. It's the same cost. It isn't as strong, but it kind of accomplishes the same thing without the salt. I already talked about Everybody Lives. And Treat the Angels. Okay, so this card, I added it because it has the miracle cost. And if you get this for the miracle, it's really good. So you could pay 4 for 2/4/4 angels. But if you don't cast this for the miracle cost, you're going to pay 5 just for one angel. You're going to pay 7 for 2. The value is just not there like it is for a lot of these other ones. The miracle cost really should make it better, and then the regular cost should be, like, okay, this card's okay. But this card is just bad if you don't get it for the miracle cost, in my opinion. So all right, so from here, this is what the deck currently looks like, and what I'm going to do now is I will sit on this. Bloomburrow comes out here at the beginning of the next month. I don't know if there's anything that I'm going to want to put in here, but there's a chance that I do, so I'm going to wait and see what kind of spoilers come. And if there's anything that really tickles my fancy, then we'll take a look at this deck again. Otherwise, the next video on this will be when we actually go to start building it. So that's the video today, guys, and thanks for your time. Thanks for checking this out. Check out my other content, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.